Hi again, Dan Alonso here. And I have been meaning to kind of return to this project that I'm working on where I am creating this primary source open textbook that is going to include all of these sources that I have found. I found a couple hundred actually that I put in to this thing. And now what I'm doing is I'm sort of going through the process of editing them so that they won't really be too much for my students to read. And so one of the things that I've been doing is I've been going through each of these accounts, and many of them, as you'll see, this one was big. This one's only 1,200 words. I am going through that one also. I'm going through these one by one and actually kind of editing them for really punctuation and the way the sentences flow, because many of these things, especially in the very early period, in the things that were originally written in the early 17th century, they tend to have really long run-on sentences, and it's difficult, it's kind of painful for students to read. So I will be going through this. This one is only 922 words, so I don't have to edit it for length. Many of them, though, this one's 1,800, so that's a little long. Many of them were 2,000 plus, some of them verging on 3,000 words. And so those are the ones that I'm going to want to try to reduce the cats are going a little bit crazy here. Try to reduce the length of and get them to sort of an even number, like 1,500 words, because I think that is enough for students to kind of get a flavor of the style and the personality of the author, and also the perspective of the author, and hopefully many of the main points of the author if I edit it skillfully enough and kind of include and continue the things that are interesting and kind of allow students to focus more clearly on those and move some of the deadwood out of the way. So what I am doing as I am working on this, though, is, and in the case of this one, this is the first account of New England. It's by a guy by the name of John Brereton, who described New England in a letter to Sir Walter Raleigh. He's describing the islands off of Buzzards Bay in what's now Cape Cod, and this appeared in many different forms, but the one that I got it from was this Sailor's Narratives of Voyages Along the New England Coast, 1524 to 1624, which was published in 1905, and I found a copy of that on the Internet Archive. So as I'm doing this, I'm taking these things that I had already kind of loaded in here, and I am editing them down, and I'm making them more readable. One of the things that I want to do here is that as I am editing these, I'm also editing them in my primary source timeline over here in Scrintal. And so that one's 1602, so yeah, it's this one here. Oh, I went too far. Here we go. Pull back a little bit. Yeah, it's this one. And so if I make it big, I've already sort of cut and paste this edited version. So I brought it down from 3,000 plus words to about 1,500. And so one of the things that I do want to do over here as I am working on this is I want to do links, right? So one of the things that is important to me in this, I think that is the one about Virginia, and I'll just take off the 1584. It doesn't need that. Now it will link to Virginia. Are there any other things that I need to link in here? Obviously he's describing he's describing the cod, right? And I'm very interested sort of in Europeans' interest in the Atlantic cod, so I'll add a link to that. I'm very interested in the fact that they are very interested in Newfoundland. What they're doing here, of course, is this author is comparing the value of the what later will be called George's Bank, the fishery, the cod fishery off of Cape Cod, to the Grand Banks. And what he says here is that you can fish for cod here in 7 fathoms of water rather than 40 or 50 fathoms in the Grand Banks. And so that is a really valuable thing to understand when you're thinking about why people would be excited about the fact that they have found cod off of the Cape Cod coast, right? And so these are some of the things that motivate people to pursue these territories, right, and to fight over them, and to fight the natives who live there and to try to take it away from them. At first, they're not fighting the natives; they are trading with them, and they're making they're kind of making peaceful advances on them, and trying to kind of get them on their side and ingratiate themselves, right? So I want to connect with Indians there. Also, there is a passage in here where he talks about tobacco. Okay, I've already got that highlighted. So these are some of the things that, and also that it connects with Walter Raleigh, right? So these are some of the things that will now have links in this document. So it's going to replenish, yeah, it refreshes. And now this, yeah, now there are links all over the place. And actually, one of the things that I need to do is that I linked to tobacco. I actually created a link to tobacco, and that created a blank page. And so what I need to do here is I need to create a, oops, I need to create a, yeah, I do want to leave that site, thank you. I want to create a page for tobacco so that my students, as they're learning about these things, they can understand, you know, how tobacco fits in. And so the history of tobacco, right? So tobacco, I want to put at the right point, right? So first European to bring tobacco seeds, following the orders of 1559 King Philip II, right? So Spanish tobacco is very, very important. So let's move this back to 15, the neighborhood of, come on, neighborhood of 1559, right about here. And what I want to say about tobacco, a Native American plant that was extensively used by Native people, first brought to Europe in around 1559 on the orders of King. And there's a link here too. Philip II, there he is, of Spain. The Spaniards believed to be superior to many of the varieties that natives used. John Rolfe, do I have it? I don't have John Rolfe yet. John Rolfe, no, that's not right. Create John Rolfe, that's what I want to do. Smuggled Spanish tobacco. Oops. That happens sometimes. Smuggled Spanish tobacco into Jamestown. helped save the colony. So that's a little bit on tobacco. Let's get a good piece of earliest depiction of a man. Okay, so that is an interesting early depiction of a man smoking tobacco. And we will take that and drag it into this tobacco image, or into this tobacco thing. And that, of course, leads me to probably need to write a quick blurb about John Rolfe. John Rolfe, husband of uh, 1585 to 1622. Englishman, settler of Jamestown. Virginia, which I already have, right? So we'll say, do a link to that. Virginia, don't need the 1584. Husband of Pocahontas. Do I have her? Yes, I do. Boom. And tobacco planter. Now, I don't need to bidirectionally link. I don't need to make a link for tobacco there. So we'll just put this picture of Matawaka, or Pocahontas. In there as well. So this is the earliest known said 1595. Let me double check it. Yeah, 1595. Okay. All right, so that is kind of how I do it. Now, I don't really require myself to add lots and lots of additional cards, but I do want there to be kind of a breadcrumb trail so that students who are reading about, for example, this passage here can, or was it this Virginia passage, right? They can, learn some of the things, right? People who are learning, who are doing this one, right, can learn that, well, hey, wait a minute, that's kind of interesting, right? Virginia is really associated with tobacco, but now New England has a connection to tobacco as well. So that is kind of one of the interesting ways. Oh, the reason that this didn't upload, I forgot. It works much better if I actually I tried to just drag a thumbnail there. That was a mistake. So I don't want to use a thumbnail image anyway. I want to use a better quality image. So let me get rid of that, and then the thing that I've dragged to my desktop now will be much easier to send over into Scrintal. So, and this guy lived from 1585 to 1622, so he shouldn't go there. He should go in his own time period, right? And he is a person, so he needs to go up in person land. So tobacco, actually tobacco needs to be green because it's a thing. Oops, sorry, John Rolfe. Select color, make that green because that's a thing. And then John Rolfe is a person. Okay, we'll put him close to Pocahontas, I suppose, because they're connected. Their stories are tied together, right? So, boom, there we go. So that is how I do this. It's a work in progress. It's going to be continuing work. Now the beauty is they have improved in the last version of this. that just came out, I think today, they have improved the publish. So I can see when the last time I published it was, and then I can also see the process and of publishing and the progress that it's making, so that I don't get confused and I don't get frustrated that, wondering whether or not it's happened or not. It will do its thing and it will tell me when it has done it, and then I'll see the time that the new publishing went through. And then so the next time that anybody who has the link to this, so all my students have it, right, when the next time they open it, it will open this new one with these additional cards. So I think that's kind of cool, and I'm very impressed with this. Later on this week, at the end of the week, I think I'm going to have a Zoom meeting with one of the Scrintal people over in Stockholm, I guess is where they are, isn't it? And I'm gonna show this off in maybe a little bit more organized way. But I thought people might be interested in this, so I hope you did find this a little bit interesting. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I will see you again very soon.